Hello, and welcome to our Sunday Thoughts at Cork Unitarian Church. I'd like to start off by expressing my best wishes for our Catholic friends as their church goes through its process of choosing a new pope. I hope that the new pope is a blessing for Catholics and non-Catholics alike. In their deliberations for selecting the next pope, the Catholic cardinals don't just pick their favorite person. They must first decide what they are looking for in terms of what the most pressing needs of the church are and what are the attributes of the person who they think can best meet those needs. In today's Sunday Thoughts, our reflection is about our own expectations of how church meets our needs. Now, today, when I say the word church, I'm not speaking about a religious denomination like the Catholic Church, nor am I speaking about a specific congregation or faith community like Cork Unitarian Church. What I'm asking is for you to choose the definition of church that is most meaningful to you personally. Some of you might lean towards seeing it as being the same as religion. For others, you may see it more as your own sense of personal spirituality. I'll start by looking at a point of view that comes from the field of psychology. Abraham Maslow was one of the leading psychologists of the 20th century. One of the things that Maslow is most noted for is his work on human motivation, which led him to develop his hierarchy of needs model. In Maslow's model, people's needs can be seen as being arranged in kind of a pyramid. At the bottom of that pyramid are the most basic needs. These are the lowest levels of needs, being physiological in nature. So think of them as the must-haves, like food, water, air. Other needs built up on top of that. So the next level of pyramid would be being safety and security needs. Now think of those things like not freezing to death in a blizzard, or not being eaten by a tiger. On top of that level are the social needs of loving and belonging. So for that level, think of relationship things like family and community. And on top of that level are psychological and emotional needs. For that level, think of things that might be a little more abstract, but definitely present in your life, like esteem, self-respect, status, and recognition. And at the very top or pinnacle of the needs hierarchy pyramid is self-actualization. This is the desire to be all that you can be, the fulfillment of one's greatest potential. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is an interesting and useful model for explaining the complexity of human motivation. Maslow's model has a couple of general rules. First, it is most often the case that when lower level needs are not being sufficiently met, people will not be able to address their higher level needs. So if somebody is, for instance, physically sick, that lower level need is going to preoccupy them, and they won't be addressing the higher level needs, generally speaking. The second is that some people are quite happy topping off their pyramid at different levels. For example, not everyone seems to be all that interested in self-actualization. It's a little bit too pie in the sky for them, perhaps. The third thing is that for some needs, once they are met, there is really no motivational point in overachieving them. This is particularly true of lower level needs. For instance, having enough to eat meets our physiological need for food. Having more food around than I can actually eat is not so much of a motivator for me. Now, today, I'd like to take this notion of that hierarchy of needs and focus it on church. What are our needs that are being addressed by church as we see it? And I'm going through this exercise for you to stimulate your thoughts. I'm not going to be providing you with any particular answers. I'm just going to be providing you with some questions that you may enjoy pondering. So wouldn't it be a good thing to know about ourselves and our own spirituality, knowing more about it, and why we are pursuing the things that we pursue? Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can take the word church any way you like it. Think of it as church community or a religious system, or maybe just your own personal spirituality. So what needs of yours do you want to be met by church? Are there lower level needs on that pyramid that keep you from focusing on higher level? Or are you even interested in addressing your higher level needs? Now, some people come to church and they are looking for help with their lowest level needs. They're trying to manage their situation. You might remember in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke, they contain different versions of the Lord's Prayer, where people are instructed to pray, "Give us each day our daily bread." Now, most of us might take that in an allegorical way and understand it as saying, provide us with our basic needs in the present time. So, does or should the church, to your way of thinking, actually dispense daily bread for basic needs or other basic needs? Or ask it a different way. Does your idea of church, in your idea of church, is it something that helps us organize the resources around us and capabilities within us so that we can meet our basic needs? What do you think? What about those needs that are a little bit higher up on the needs hierarchy? The needs dealing with community, belonging, and relationships. In your life, what role do you see, or would you like to see, the church play there? Going back to the Gospels of Matthew and Luke, their versions of the Lord's Prayer also mention a quid pro quo relationship, where we forgive others just as we ourselves have learned to experience forgiveness offered by them. Or in John's Gospel, we have the teaching, love one another as we have been loved. So these are relationships based on community and associations with other people. Do you see your personal idea of church meeting your need for nurturing, loving relationships across the various people who've entered your life? And lastly, at the very top of the needs hierarchy, what about self-actualization? The desire to be all you can be. Within the context of church, is that a need that you can relate to? And how does that need fit in with your personal idea of religion, church, and spirituality? These all may seem like very heady questions, and perhaps they are, particularly if we only work on them with our brain and not also with our hearts. Some of us may find that these questions are spiritual explorations that may tire us out if we lack the supportive presence of a faith community. So I'll encourage you to pause now and then think about what these questions say and try to better understand, what does church mean to you? Amen. And now for today's blessing. It is adapted from Robin Tanner. Blessed are you when you fall in the mud, jump with gusto, and ripped your pants, skinned your elbows, and bruised your ego, for you shall know the sweetness of risk. Blessed are you when you make giant mistakes. Your intentions were good, but your impact is injured. You shall know the hot sense of regret, ask for mercy, and your heart will know the gift of forgiveness. Blessed are you when you try again, dust off, wash up, Extend the wish for peace. Return to sites of failure and are dogged in your pursuit, for you will discover the secret to dreams. Blessed are you when you refuse to listen to naysayers, for your heart will be a house for hope. Blessed are you when you see beyond the surface of another, for you will be able to delight in the gift of compassion. Blessed are you when you stop running the race to help a fellow traveler and pick up the fallen, when you stop for the injured life, for you shall know the kindness of strangers. Blessed are you when you wildly embolden, abandoning preoccupation with winning, for you shall know the path of justice. Amen. And until the next time, I wish you all peace and blessings.